Alright guys, Fuller coming to you with another video. Like, I thought I was gonna go live about this, but I'm not gonna go live about it. I just decided, nah, let me not do a live and let me just do a video about it. I wasn't gonna address the Will Jada situation, but people kept on like hounding me saying, oh, you need to talk about it. Oh, you need to like give your 2 cents on it. Because as I said, like, and shout outs to all the other brothers who are doing it, be it they be African from the continent, be it they be African descendant from with roots in America, be it they be even there's even like one, I guess you can say, Arab brother who does like this similar content and stuff like that. But we have to dissect what really happened when the slap basically happened. We have to look at it from different angles. I'm gonna look at it first from the angle of, it could have been I want to say planned, a stage slap, meaning that it was a publicity stunt, and that publicity stunt was done to basically, boost both their profiles, Will Smith and I want to say Chris Rock. Now, the thing that you have to understand is that when it comes to that, I've been seeing on social media that there's been an increase in Chris Rock's comedy shows and stuff like that, and there's actually been, his notoriety has actually went up. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually gone up higher because of, the joke that he made. You feel me? Now, we can look at it from that angle. You know what I mean? In terms of Will Smith benefiting, perhaps he only benefited in a way that he basically, you have all these, like, you have masculine Monique and which one call it and how should I say it, Buff Bonquisha, who are like basically, saying that, yeah, you go, that's what you're supposed to do, and saying all those kind of things. You have that aspect of it. Now, in terms of the entertainment aspect of it, I don't think he's going to benefit much because of the simple fact that, they're going to look at him overreacting. And in a lot of Hollywood, it's actually looking at him and saying that he overreacted. You know what I mean? Now, let's look at it from the perspective of, there were actually reports, and there was actually like a scene where there was like a drag queen who interviewed Will Smith on like a red carpet event. I don't remember what red carpet event it was, but they just threw this dude all the way in the dirt. They said, we're looking forward to more red table talk, and we're also looking forward to more stories about entanglements, and also more stories about, like, just flings and everything. He didn't have that energy for that, that transgender, or it wasn't transgender. I want to say a drag queen. Yeah, drag queen. Now, with that being said, right, we have to look at the simple fact that Will Smith didn't have that energy for people who were like running through his wife. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, I think because you have to understand something, and I don't know how many people understand this, but when you have a woman, your woman is kind of like a reflection of like you. You know what I mean? Your woman is kind of like, okay, this is my woman, therefore, you know, this is the woman I choose up to be with. This woman represents me. You know? You kind of understand where I'm coming from? So, you have to look at what these women did to certain guys. You have to look at, like, for example, what Sierra did to Russell Wilson. His game went down, you know, now he's getting traded, right? You have to look at what Gabrielle Union did to Dwayne Wade. You know, he started getting like purple nail polish and stuff on his feet and turned his son into a damn, like, I want to say, or at least his son transitioned into I want to say, into like a damn girl, right? So with this being said, we have to, a woman, you know, the problem with these guys, this is the whole problem. The problem with these guys is they gave women too much power. They gave them way too much power. And that's never gonna work out good for a guy. Now, I want to take the first example, or one example. When Dwayne Wade was actually married to his first wife, he was at the height of his powers. You know, he was balling. I mean, when I say he was balling, that dude was balling, okay? It got to a point where, you know, when they made that trade they brought Shaq to Miami Heat, and as a response, as a condition with that trade, the Lakers wanted Dwayne Wade, but Miami Heat was like, hell no, we're not giving that fool up. So they had to give up. I think they gave up. Caron Butler, and they also gave up Lamar Odom. But there was no way in hell they were giving up Dwayne Wade because he was playing so damn good. And that was when he had his first wife, right? So, with this being said, it's like when Gabrielle Union came into the picture, I'm not going to say he wasn't playing on his highest levels, but he was just playing and not achieving much when he went to Chicago. When he went to Cleveland, he wasn't really doing anything, you know. He was at the height of his powers in Miami, and I'm just saying that, and this is the thing, and a lot of people aren't going to follow me when I say this, but I broke this shit down very much. A woman has energy that can either propel you or either like suck you dry, and you end up in not only a sunken place, but you end up in like a emasculated place as well. So let's just say that the slap was a publicity stunt. Chris Rock benefited from it the most, right? Now, the other angle I want to look at this is, I want to look at it from an angle that maybe it wasn't a publicity stunt. I want to look at it from an angle that, you know, Will Smith actually deliberately slapped that man, and he really meant the slap. Okay. Now, this is where I had to break down things. This is where I had to look at things in like perspective, and I had to look at things in a way that what were some of the events that added up to that moment happening. Now, the first event was the fact that, like, Jada Pinkett Smith, or whatever the case may be, she was a drug dealer before she even hit Hollywood, right? She said that, you know, when she met Tupac, you know, she was a drug dealer. Now, one thing that needs to be said about that is, her being a drug dealer, she said that, you know, her and Tupac like share stories about survival, and that's how they kind of like found each other to be like, you know, linking with one another and actually, you know, finding, I guess, solace in everything. Now, she said that she didn't have any relationship with Tupac, and it was just a friend relationship, but best believe Tupac was blowing her back out. In addition to that, like, her being a drug dealer, you know what I mean, her supplies is going to have to come from a Pookie or a Ray Ray, you know, because, you know, when you look at it, a Pookie or Ray Ray, there's different levels of Pookie or Ray Ray. And I think, like, with Jada, she was probably just a street level dealer. So the Pookie, so she had to get her supplies from Pookie or Ray Ray. It depends on what it was. It depends on what, like, how much she was moving. She could have been moving like just dimes. She could have been, which I think she was just moving dimes and nicks, and she wasn't moving like quarter Z's, or she wasn't moving like O's, or moving like P's. I don't think she was like that high, you know, when it came to like drug dealing. But at the same time, because she was drug dealing, she already had that masculine energy from the jump. You know what I mean? Like, that masculine energy was already there. Now, another thing that we need to take into consideration too. There's another thing that we have to take into consideration. All right. One thing that we need to take into consideration as well is what Will Smith had to do to get on in Hollywood. Like, what he had to do to actually, like, get, I guess you can say, get initiated into Hollywood. Now, unfortunately for, like, black celebrities who decide to go into Hollywood, you have to usually do things or do a role in order to, like, really get on or get notoriety. You know, Will Smith, by all accounts, had to be a fruit cup in the role of in 6 Degrees of Separation. You know, he had to do that role, and in doing that role, he actually, you know, had to be in bed with a dude or something like that. I didn't watch the movie, but that's how he had to get his welcome into Hollywood. You look at, for example, Tyler Perry. He has to dress in drag, you know, to get where he is. And Halle Berry, you know, she got Best Actress just for getting her back blown out by a Chad. right? In that movie Monsters Ball, versus Denzel Washington. He was just a crooked cop in order to get his flowers. Now, that's the first thing. Now, when you look at Jada Pinkett Smith, the role she played, really, I'm not saying all of her roles were masculine, but she already had that masculine energy in the beginning from messing with Pookie and Ray Ray, you know, because when I say that Tupac wasn't the only one, you know, there's pictures of her with Eazy-E, there's pictures of her with Biggie Smalls and other rappers as well. Now you have to look at some of the roles that Jada Pinkett played, you know, that kind of, you know, shows you what direction that, and what kind of man that she wanted, but what kind of man that she settled with. Now, let's take the role, for example, of Menace to Society. You know what I mean? In that role, she played a single mother, and her husband was in jail. You feel me? And her husband, being a Pookie Ray Ray type nigga, was in jail. The nigga she fell in love with in that movie was a Pookie Ray Ray type nigga as well, Kane. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, Kane was on some Pookie Ray Ray type shit, you know. O-Dog, he was a savage as well, you know what I mean? But that's another video for another time, breaking down that movie. Because, like, if you look at my life in South Central LA, that was, you know, previous, it's kind of, you can say there's some, not all, but some mirroring of Menace to Society. But anyhow, you look at that role that she played. Then you look at the role that she played when it came to, like, girls trips. You know what I mean? Like, basically, with the girls trips thing, it was just pretty much a hot girl summer type thing. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what it was. You know, and so when it comes to that, that's what that was. And I've never seen that movie, but I believe there was some fighting involved in that movie, in the actual storyline. You know, I think they got into like a melee or something like that. You look at that role. Then you look at the role of Matrix. You know, when she was in that role in Matrix, you know, like Matrix Revolutions, Matrix Resurrection, Matrix Reloaded, she by all means played like a masculine type character, masculine type heroine. You know what I mean? Like, so that needs to be said too, right? Then you look at the role she played in Set It Off. When you look at Set It Off, you know, by all means, she was like, she became a Pookie Ray Ray because of the simple fact that, like, you know, she was robbing banks in that movie. You know, you had Vivica A. Fox, you had Queen Latifah, and they were all robbing banks and shit and doing crazy shit like that, right? Killing niggas in that movie, as a matter of fact. So when you look at these movies that she played in, you have to, like, just understand that type of shit appealed to her. Will Smith, by means, is not like a Pookie Ray Ray type guy. You know what I mean? But the problem is that Pookie and Ray Ray left their imprint on Jada Pinkett. I said this before, I said it again. Women are sexually attracted to niggas like that. You know, like the modern Western woman, for the most part, is sexually attracted to niggas like that. So Will Smith, he doesn't fit that role at all. And so what needs to be said about it is the simple fact that, you know, she still has that energy. Now, on a spiritual level, this is just on the spiritual level. Don't like take my words and flip my words and say that I'm being cool and stuff like that. On a spiritual level, you know, it could be Allah giving her what she wants, you know, because like, and what I mean by that is the alopecia type thing. You know what I mean? Like because, you know, maybe, I don't know what God is thinking, but maybe God is thinking like, yo, like, since you want to take on all this masculine energy, and since you want to like throw your husband under the bus like so many times, and you want to basically control the marriage, then here, I got something for you. You know, like, since you don't want to like be in your feminine state, you know, I got something for you. You know what I mean? You know, God has a crazy way of doing things like that, you know. So with that being said, those kind of factors led up to what we saw. Now, I'm going to wrap this up by saying Will Smith, by all means, should have had the energy for the guys who were running through his wife, versus having the energy that he had for Chris Rock, you know. Because the thing is that needs to be said is that, you know, before he did the slap, you know, Will Smith was actually laughing at the joke, you know, but then something happened. You know, that masculine energy that his wife has, and at this point, I think she has more masculine energy than Will Smith has at this point. You know, I said it before, I said it again. And this is why I don't mess with women who mess with Pookie Ray Ray. You know what I mean? Which would be like 90% of all modern Western women, maybe 99% of all Western women. I'm gonna tell you why I don't mess with them. Number one, their voices start getting deeper. You know, like I noticed that sometimes, like, because women they get these baritone voices, you know, because they're taking on all that masculine energy from Pookie and Ray Ray and Chad and Tyrone. This goes for the Casper Karens too. Now, another thing too is what happens is they become like, they want to fight all the time. You know, they're into fighting, and they're inclined to violence. You know, that's one thing that happens as well. And so when we look at this, when we look at the clip and we see Will Smith laughing, it was kind of like some MX Ultra, I think they call that MX Ultra mind control type thing, where, you know, Jada Pinkett, she didn't appreciate that joke. You know what I mean? And she looked over like at Will like, this is your cue. You know what I mean? Because he went from laughing to all of a sudden like it was like basically she flipped a switch in his brain, and he went on stage and did what he did. Now, the thing is about it is she still ain't gonna be satisfied with what he did. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, she may say, that's it. And then on top of that, when she is still not going to respect him. And then another thing that needs to be said is that when he said, keep your family's name out of your effing mouth, Like when he said it like that didn't even sound manly. Like he didn't have any bass in his voice. Now, I'm gonna end this on a final note, okay? Okay, I'm gonna end this on a final note. There was an experiment that they did with a goldfish, okay? And this is why most of the time I roll alone anyway, you know, unless it's with some solid people who are like-minded, okay? So they did an experiment with goldfish, right? And what happened was they put a male goldfish with a lot of female goldfish. Okay, hold on just a minute. I'm gonna try to look it up real quick. Okay, so what they did is that they put this male goldfish with a lot of female goldfish, right? And so when they put them around a lot of female goldfish, they actually that male wasn't able to sexually leave his mark on females anymore after being around a lot of female goldfish. And I'm not comparing human beings to goldfish. I'm not by any means comparing human beings to like a fish. But what I do notice, this is what I do notice, and I notice this a lot with a lot of niggas, especially niggas who are surrounded by females on Clubhouse or things like that. When a man hangs around a lot of women, you know, when a man hangs around a lot of women, he tends to take on that energy, like that feminine energy. And he tends to do things that are rather feminine, you know, and tends to even sound like being feminine, you know. And with that being said, you know, he will start to like fall into that narrative. For example, that masculine Monique will say, and that's you know, protect our black queens and protect our black goddesses. That they'll basically start to like in essence want to imitate that, right? And the thing is about that is it's still not going to be really appreciated as much as they think it's going to be appreciated by them doing that, right? So when you look at the strong like Sigma males, or you look at the strong archetype of males, and this is another video in itself, and unfortunately they're disliked by a lot of modern women. You know, I'm going to take some that are fictional and I'm going to take some that are real. When you look at like most video game characters, for example, and as I said, I've dissected this thing to a point where I use um, every possible example, be it fictional and close to nonfiction, or be it nonfiction that is in reality. Now, when you look at, for example, Cradles from God of War, like that dude, he's not really around women that much. You know, like that dude is like he's like just a solid lone wolf type dude. You know, and the thing is about him is that, you know, he was he was a savage, you know, but he was driven. He was a man driven, you know. He was just like really focused. If you look at Cradles, right? You look at, for example, Khabib Nurmagomedov. You know, with him, it was a case of just being like on his deen, and part of being on his deen is keeping his, like, he's married, you know, but when you look at him, he limited his contact with females. You know what I mean? Like that, he took that part of the Islam very serious, you know, and so that's one thing that needs to be said about him, right? And he still maintained like a masculine frame, you know. He still had his big beard and stuff like that, but his comments about like females didn't go down with these feminists and these female MMA fighters. They didn't really go down that well, but he didn't care about being disliked by females. And that's what a lot of you guys need to like really, you guys really need to keep that in mind. You guys really need to keep in mind that who cares if a female dislikes you? Don't let a female disrespect you, though. You know what I mean? Don't let a female take away your power. Don't let a female take away your composure. And unfortunately, Will Smith has let Jada do that. You know what I mean? Because by all accounts, he was laughing at the joke, right? I want to give one more example of like a guy who's like an archetype of a man who stays on the square, but females hate that. You look at, let me see who. I'm trying to think of another example. I'm gonna use one more example and then I'll cancel this video because I've been going on kind of long now. But you look at man, I can't really think of like an example. Oh, perfect example. But he's fictional. You look at he's actually he's actually like a fictional character. This guy named Craven the Hunter, and he was a SpiderMan guy. The thing is, he was a lone wolf ass type dude. You know what I mean? He really didn't hang around with females like that. You know, he was into hunting. You know, but he was also he was also like one of Spider-Man's enemies. You know. Now, the thing is about Craven is that Craven, he actually, you know, believe it or not, he's actually Russian, you know. he also, though, still had a woman. You know, don't get it twisted. He still had a woman. But his whole mission was like, man, I gotta be Spider-Man. And I gotta hunt. You know what I mean? I gotta hunt. Now the thing is that he's also a herbalist. He had like you know, and these herbs actually like these herbs made him be able to like not withstand or not like take a lot of damage, meaning that he was like being able to withstand explosions and stuff like that. And you know, even if he's 70 years of age, he still has the appearance of a 30-year-old man. His sight is enhanced, his hearing is enhanced, and his smell is enhanced, and things like that. Now, granted, I'm in my 20s, and people swear to God that I'm still in high school. People ask me like all the time, like, yo, what high school do you go to? The thing is this, and I know this is kind of like weird and stuff like that. I know this sounds weird, but when you stay away from masculine Monique, Casper Karen, lying Ling Ling, and murderous Maria, your youth stays with you. You know, when you look at, like, for example, the girls who dealt with Pookie and Ray Ray, things like that. When you look at like guys who dealt with these toxic ass women, they tend to lose the best years of their life, you know, because they were dealing with them, right? And so as I said, this thing is like a deep thing right now that I'm getting into, because it's not just like on this physical world, it's also in the spiritual as well. You know, this is a very spiritual thing that we're dealing with. You know, by all means, when you look at how Jada looked at Will, it kind of just like, you can tell that there was like a glitch in his brain that made him go on stage and do that. Even when he was walking on stage and did the slap and stuff like that, you can tell that it wasn't like, it was kind of like, I don't want to do this, but if I don't do this, my wife will probably embarrass me even more type thing. But just keep in mind that let this be a lesson, and this is the reason why I want to make this video. Let this be a lesson to guys that once Chad, Pookie, Ray Ray, or Tyrone leaves their mark on a female, regardless of the level she's reached, there's really no saving her. She may be married to the typical guy that you would think would be good for her, but she still deep inside has that yearning for the rod that, you know, Chad, Pookie, Ray Ray have. You know, we've seen it many times, and this goes on throughout Hollywood even. You know what I mean? But anyhow, leave your thoughts and leave your comments on this, and let me know what y'all think. Foolish signing out. From Jada.